Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of PNB is Listening. Today, we are going to be talking with our newest dancers in the company this year. We have 5 apprentices and 1 new Corps de Ballet member, and so we're going to be getting to know them today. And we'll start with some introductions. I'm just going to go in the order that we're here. I guess I should introduce myself first. I am Sarah Kolat, and I work in the artistic department here. And I love to interact and get to know our new dancers because I work with them so closely. And so this is a really great opportunity for me to get to know them as well as our larger audience. So thank you all, first of all, for spending your, is it Tuesday? Tuesday morning with me before company class on a week that we're about to open a big show. I really appreciate you all taking the time to sit down with me and talk. So thank you. Roz, why don't we start with you? Why don't you tell us, your name and where you're from, and we'll start there.
Hi, I'm Rosalyn Hutsell, and I'm from Houston, Texas. Yeah.
Audrey.
Hi, I'm Audrey Malek, and I am from New Hampshire.
And Destiny.
Hi, my name is Destiny Wimpye. I'm an apprentice with the company. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
Dylan.
Hi, my name is Dylan. I'm also an apprentice, and I am from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Luca.
Hi, I'm Luca Anaya. I'm an apprentice with the company, and I'm from New York City.
And Larry.
Hi, I'm Larry Lancaster. I'm also an apprentice, and I'm from Baltimore, Maryland.
Well, welcome to all of you. I think one of the most interesting things about talking to dancers as a non-dancer is learning your path to, or hearing about your experience of becoming a professional dancer. So I'm interested in how you came to PNB, and each of you has sort of a different path here, either through the school or being hired directly into the company. So I would love to hear about, where you started your ballet training, how you came to PNB, and why PNB. And yeah, just what made you want to be a dancer, and how did you choose this company? Because I know it's both the company chooses you and you choose the company. So that's what I want to hear about. And maybe I'll go in reverse order and we can start with Larry.
Okay. Well, I started in dance. I've always been a dancer in arts or theater or music my whole life. And then when I was around 10 or 11, I started doing ballet. And I started off at Peabody Dance Conservatory. And then I later furthered my training at the Twigs program at Baltimore School for the Arts. And then I started my high school dance training at Baltimore School for the Arts. And then in the summer of 2020, I did the virtual summer intensive with PNB. Ended up getting accepted into the PD program. I did 2 years as a PD where I feel like I really learned a lot about myself, not only as a dancer, but also as a person. Really got to further my artistry and technique as far as dance goes with ballet and modern and contemporary, and also with choreography and composition classes. Um, and then I ended up getting into PNB as an apprentice last year, which I was extremely grateful for. And PNB was a company that was definitely always on my radar, especially as I grew up and started to think about where I would want to spend my career. and I always knew that I had a deep love for ballet and classical ballet, but I also wanted to do contemporary and modern and be a well-rounded and versatile dancer. So I think PNB was definitely a perfect place for me to be.
Wonderful. Dylan, why don't you go next? You're right above Larry in my boxes.
Okay, so yeah, I started ballet. I kind of fell into it. It was one of those things that my mom just sort of put me in a class, and I sort of stuck with it. And I think throughout my like growing up, it was sort of an escape sometimes. Other times, it was like somewhere I could be where I felt like safe and welcomed. And it was also a good challenge. And I started in a few different places around where I grew up, but I sort of didn't get serious till I was a little bit older. And one of my teachers was Laura Berman, who used to dance for PNB sort of way back when. And so I always sort of had PNB like in my mind as somewhere I could end up, but I never specifically thought of it. I always kind of had an open mind throughout my training. And then, yeah, I ended up at SAB. So I was there for 4 years. And in my last year, I sort of got in touch with Peter, and we talked about the PD program, and sort of decided that that would be a good next step for me. So yeah, ended up coming here in the fall of 2021, and yeah, it ended up being a good experience. I got hired, which was great, and then yeah, just sort of fell into place. And I think PNB, it wasn't somewhere, yeah, that was specifically on my radar, but I did do a summer course here, and I had sort of had that experience, and like Seattle was beautiful, and the company was amazing, and like all these people, and it was just sort of like right place, right time. And it's just one of those things I had a really good feeling about, and sort of just followed that intuition. So yeah, my story isn't all that different from a lot of other people's. Besides that, yeah, I just sort of fell in love with ballet and just kept working at it, and this is where I ended up, and I'm very, very thankful to be here. So yeah.
Well, we're so happy to have you. So welcome. Roz, you're right above Dylan. Let's hear your story.
There we go. So yeah, I grew up in dancing in Texas for like the first 14 years of my, or like, I don't know, 10 years of my dance career. And I had two older sisters that danced too, so that kind of got me into it for sure. And I was just dancing at small studios down there, kind of competition studios. And then when I was 14, I moved to go to SAB, and I was there for 3 years. And I think I like my wasn't always the most positive, and then I came to a PNB summer, and I think that was like a big eye opener, because it was just the first time in a while I really enjoyed dancing. So then after that, the next year I applied to be a PD, and then I got in, which was great. And I spent 2 years in the PD program, and then last year I got my apprenticeship, and so yeah, and here we are now. But yeah, I think PNB has just exactly, like, it's always been on my radar, like a lot of people were saying, especially because like it does have, like, we do some balancing reps, which was something I was always interested in, but now even more so the contemporary reps and all of the new stuff that we're doing has definitely, I've been enjoying it a lot, and I think that's just, I didn't realize how important it was to me until I like really started doing it. And yeah, I think that I'm just happy to be here, and like, like kind of what everybody else is saying, and I'm so grateful for getting hired. So yeah.
Awesome. Audrey, you're next. Let's hear your story. It's a little different.
Yeah, I guess so. I started, I think my mom put me into dancing when I was 4 or 5, just for like summer camp stuff. I started year round when I was 6 and grew up in like, yeah, like jazz competition studios. I was a comp kid. But I started going to summer intensives when I was 13 up until the age of 19. And yeah, like throughout my childhood, I would take ballet like I think it went up to like 3 times a week, but I went to these dance studios where like it wasn't I think ballet I was well rounded in a sense where I learned how to do jazz and tap and all these different types of genres, but ballet wasn't taken as seriously at the studios I went to growing up. So like I would take, like, let's say the ballet class was an hour and a half, and like for most of the class they'd use it as a time slot to like rehearse a dance. Like I wasn't actually getting like supplemental training that is needed to become a professional. So I auditioned for the Washington School of Ballet when I was 17 and I got in. So like after my 18th birthday, I went to their summer program, got accepted year round. And it was also the same year that Julie Kent started her directorship with the company and the school. And um, she promoted me to trainee and then to studio company. And last year, I got promoted into the company, and then I got an offer from PNB at around the same time. And so I had to make this decision of like, what do I want to do? I mean, because I've always wanted to dance at PNB like many other people, but I was also with a company that I had built a relationship with, that they had known me since I was a student. And so it was a difficult decision, but I just I like to do new things, and I saw how well versed the company was with like contemporary and classical, and it was just something I've always wanted to try. So I was like, okay, I'm going to Seattle now. And it was like super last second. Like I think it was like June, like yeah, it was like well into June when I took the contract. And yeah, it was just like a big move really fast. But yeah, that's basically my story.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Luca, let's hear your story.
Yeah. So I think like a lot of other people, very similar. But I kind of grew up around dance. My elementary school had like a partnership with Alvin Ailey back in New York. So they would come and visit like us at the school and kind of like talk to us about dance. And then we would see a lot of like videos of Alvin Ailey dancing. And that was kind of my introduction to dance. And I remember seeing Revelations like a lot. And that was like my favorite thing to see. It still is. It's amazing. And they had like a dance class there. And I think that was mostly just, to get all the kids to get all their energy out. So that way when they got home, it was like, we were fine. And I feel like that's probably why my mom put me in that. But but I feel like I was always kind of dancing, even just like out on the street. Like I would hear music on the street. I'd be like by Union Square a lot, and I just hear music and I would like to dance to it as like a little kid. And one of the teachers there that was at my school had a small dance studio that was more like freestyle dance, but kind of more modern. And I was there for about, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 years when she suggested that I audition for the School of American Ballet. And I didn't even know what that place was at the time. And when I auditioned there, I don't think I got in the first time because I think I got there too late. So I had to wait until next year. And then later that year, I went to go see the Nutcracker for the first time with my mom. It's a very cliche story, but it works. And I saw the Nutcracker, and that really got me hooked. Interestingly enough, it wasn't about the dance. I just thought it was really, really cool that I would be able to play leapfrog on stage with my friends and probably get paid for it. And I was like, that's something I want to do. And later that year, when I got into SAB, I started my training, and that was what I looked forward to. And when I did Nutcracker, it was everything I wanted, everything I hoped for. And at a certain point in my career, when I started going to summer intensives around the age of, I want to say 12, somewhere around there, I went to Miami City Ballet for the summer. That was my first like real summer intensive. I think I was maybe 15, 14 at the time. And that's when it started to kick in. That's when I kind of grew that passion for dance, where it was not more about taking classes, but it was like I actually really, really enjoy it and putting in the work and the dedication for it, because I was being pushed so hard like I'd never been before. And it was a new experience. It was challenging for me, but it was something that I wanted to look more into. And I was at SAB training in the year-round program since I was 9, maybe 10. So I was there for about 11 years. And then as of 2 summers ago, I went to the PNB Summer Intensive. And before that, many summers before that, I usually went consecutively because I just enjoyed the summer intensive so much. And like everyone, I wanted to dance at PNB. I had a very open mind, and I knew there were so many great companies, and I just was excited to be able to finally be able to work. And when I went to the summer intensive, I was supposed to go back to SAB that year, that last summer, to do one more year. But with COVID and everything, it kind of like crashed everything together, and I like lost a year, and then kind of like it was a weird like moment, I feel like, for a lot of dancers, where we feel like we missed out on a lot. I mean, we missed out on a year. And kind of like Audrey, it was very last minute where I decided I was going to go to PNB. And I remember like talking to Peter about it, about maybe joining the PD program, and kind of trying to get details about it and what it was like and what should I expect. And it was a really hard decision because I feel like same thing as Audrey, I had a school that I grew up in that had all the teachers that I knew since I was little, and I felt such an attachment to that. And it was the other side of the spectrum, where PNB is like this foreign area. It's like the other side of the coast for me. And I had to make that last kind of quick decision. And I feel like I made the right one, because there was the repertory that they did was balanchine, which is what I'm very familiar with, but there's also very different things, very contemporary things, which are things that I'm not as experienced in. And I feel like that was something I needed. I needed something that was going to be different for me, something that would change the pace of everything for me. And so I would get out of my comfort zone. And I feel like that's where I wanted to go with PNB. And I did the PD year last year for 1 year, and then later got hired that same year. And here I am. I'm here 1 year later.
Well, welcome. We're very happy to have you. Destiny.
Yeah, hi. Well, first I just want to say I think it's super cool that we're doing this. I mean, I found out things about, like, for example, Audrey and Luca I had no clue about, and I see you guys like almost every day, so I think it's kind of crazy. But for me, I started dancing when I was 3. It was just kind of like I had like a after school like type program thing that my mom put me in, kind of, in a way. They just kind of came to our school, and we'd have dance classes here and there. And then after kind of like their session or their time with us was over, one of the women talked to my mom and asked her if I could join their competition studio. And my mom was like, yeah, no, like, she's 3, like, it's okay. Like, it's just something fun she's doing. It's not like, too crazy. And she was like, well, no, like, we really want to, she seems to really like it. She seems to have fun. My mom's like, yeah, you're right. We'll give it a shot. And so that's kind of how I started off. I did competition for a while, from ages 3 to 9. And then I moved to LA afterwards. Just I wanted to change. I was kind of tired of I felt like I wanted more. Like I loved competition dance and it was really fun, but I felt like I could further my training somehow. I just didn't know how. So I started researching different summer courses and I found Debbie Allen Dance Academy, and that's in LA. So I went to LA for a summer and my mom fully supported me. She went with me and I had a great time. I thought the place, I mean, it's LA. Coming from Georgia to LA, you're like huge culture shock. But you know, at 9 years old, I thought it was like super cool. And you know, Debbie Allen asked me if I could come for the year-round program. And my mom was like, yeah, well, we don't live here. And she was like, well, you can just move. And we were like, okay. So we moved. And yeah, I was there from 9 to 13. And then afterwards, I went to Ailey summer course, Alvin Ailey summer courses for a few summers, like I think maybe 2 or 3 times, and I really liked it. I for a long time I wanted to be an Alvin Ailey dancer, just because I grew up around that, and I thought, you know, Revelations, like Luca said, and just everything that they do was so powerful, and the movement was so powerful. So I definitely got a lot of that training, you know, modern, Graham, Horton, Dunham, all those like more modern styles. But I went to SAB for a summer course. As it changed, I actually met a girl at Alvin Ailey. Her name is Taylor. I'll never forget her because she kind of took me on this journey. But she was like, you know, you should try out for SAB. Like it's a summer course. It's this ballet school. It's like really, you know, prestigious. And I was like, what? I was like, I'm not really a ballet dancer, but I can try. I don't know. And so I did. And they kind of introduced me to the balancing technique. And I really just fell in love with that. And I wanted to learn more about it. So I went to Colburn at 13. I was part of the Colburn Dance Academy. And I was there for 3 years under the training of Jennifer Ringer, who is a New York City ballet dancer, and James Fayette, who's also a New York City ballet dancer, and some other amazing people, some teachers from PNB, like Tim Lynch, and, you know, just different people. So I got a lot of amazing wisdom from them. And from there, I kind of knew that, you know, I kind of had like 2 companies in mind, or like places that I wanted to go. I came to PNB summer course, and honestly, that's what really sold me on them. Like a lot of other people, I just had a fun time, not only like in the studio, but outside of the studio. I felt comfortable. I didn't feel like I had to be someone else. I didn't feel like I had to act a certain way. I just felt really comfortable in who I was. And I think the environment here at PNB just made me feel like I could be who I was. So I kind of kept it on my radar, and I was like, you know, this is a place that like I really enjoyed. I had fun. And so I have to remember that, you know, not only was the training amazing, but I have to remember I was actually happy here. And so I auditioned again for PNB 2020, and that was the Zoom summer course. So did that at home, and then I got into the PD program. Then I was a PD1, PD2, had amazing experiences. And I think as a PD, when you're here for 2 years, it's kind of like, it's hard not to fall in love with this place. I mean, like you are with the company, you know, if you get those opportunities, you're with the company during Nutcracker, you're with the company for other reps. So you're seeing these dancers, and they just, I mean, not that we idolize them, but they just become such like big inspirations for me personally. So, yeah, and then I got hired, which is really awesome. Wasn't Yeah, it's crazy. I still kind of can't believe it to this day. I still kind of feel like sometimes like imposter syndrome, like um I'm still like that PD that's like in company class, or sometimes it's random, but you know, I'm accepting it more and more day by day, and I'm just really happy to be here. So yeah.
Well, welcome. Thank you all for sharing those. I just love like that there are different paths to getting to the same place, and I love hearing about those. I remember when our apprentices were offered their apprenticeships last year, because you were outside my office, and it was very exciting. So I remember that moment too. It was really great. Okay, so you all were like really thrown into the deep end this year. If people who've watched our company for a really long time might know that our apprentices usually start after our rep 2, and then like Nutcracker is their first real show. But this year, we had some really massive pieces on early in the year. So we had Carmina Burana in Rep 1, and then the Seasons Canon in Rep 2. And so y'all were just really thrown in. So I am interested in hearing from all of you what your favorite role that you've danced so far this year is, or favorite piece. And then what you're looking forward to for the rest of the season, if there's a particular work that you're, that you're really looking forward to. So let's see, let's do a different order this time. Let's start with Audrey.
A couple of my favorites, definitely from the first rep doing Carmina Burana, and how do you say it? Is it Allegro Brilliant? I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but that Balanchine ballet, that's my favorite. It was actually my second time performing that, because I had done it one other time with the Washington Ballet back in like early 2020. So it was cool to be able to revisit that as a more experienced dancer. I'm looking forward to, oh yeah, and Seasons Canon. That was another favorite. Just like all of us just breathing together and like moving in the same group. That was so cool. I'm looking forward to Giselle, like what we're doing right now. I just think it's like beautiful ballet. It's my favorite ballet. And there's some new works coming up. I'm a part of a new Jessica Lange piece in a future rep. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that and the other creations that are yet to be.
That's so interesting that you say that about the Seasons Canon and the breathing. I was sitting in a rehearsal up in like the loft of Studio C, and I came out of that rehearsal and I said, Peter, the most interesting thing to me is that like the breathing is so percussive. And he's like, oh, I don't like really. And I'm like, yeah, from up there you can like hear them all breathe at the same time, and it sounds like these super percussive like musical attacks, and it's so interesting. And I couldn't hear it like in the theater, but like to be able to hear that in a closed space of the studio was really super cool. Dylan, we'll do that.
Yeah, so I would say so far this season, my favorite was definitely doing Allegro, because I think if there's one Balanchine piece I came away from SAB wanting to do, it was that one. So like, funnily enough, like literally just getting to do it almost right away was like pretty amazing. But that was a great experience. And then also I would say Seasons Canon too, because that was a movement I was sort of so unfamiliar with and still am, and had so much to learn and still have a lot to learn about. But that was such an important learning experience, I feel like. And the stager just kind of working with us, like workshopping stuff for sometimes hours. And we had quite a bit of time with him. So that was a really good experience. And then performing it with the music and the lighting and the costumes and everything, that was something really special. And then yeah, I would say looking forward to just like, I'm just looking forward to continuing to experience new pieces. Midsummer Night's Dream has always been something I've enjoyed watching, so that'll be cool to get to learn. And yeah, nothing too specific. I'm just happy to be here and happy to be learning stuff. But yeah, those are a few of my highlights so far. So
Wonderful. Destiny, let's do you next.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Carmina. I thought Carmina was really fun. Just the production and the sets and everything. It was like a big production, so I enjoyed that. Also, obviously, Seasons Canon. I felt really lucky to be a part of that. So, I'm excited for Giselle. I think it's been really the rehearsal process has been really kind of intense, both mentally and physically. Just watching the leads, take on these really demanding roles has been really inspiring. So I'm excited to get that on the stage. And just future, I think I'm excited for Midsummer too. And I'm excited to see what Keon does for Keon's new work. So
Yeah, let's plug that. Rep 6, new Keon Ross world premiere. Good. Okay, Roz, let's do you next.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Carmina. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to even. I think just how long it was super fun because it was like change, change, change. Like it was kind of key. Like once you got into it, you were just and exactly like the whole production of it is like amazing. Like you have the singers behind you and like the wheel just like dangling above. And I think that was really like powerful and was obviously just amazing. I think even just being in the room with Crystal Pite for a couple of days, I was fan like that was pretty great. I think one of my favorite moments from that, seeing how you were like kind of talking about the breathing, was this one part all like note cards starting down, but you can like your ear is to the floor, so all you could hear is like the sounds of like the leads dancing or whatever, and it was just like I don't know, that was just like really magical. And yeah, I honestly I also track her a lot. I think revisiting it like for a second year and as an apprentice and not a PD was a really fun experience too. And just, feeling a little bit more comfortable with it. Yeah, I'm excited to perform Giselle. I think that I don't know. I think it's just kind of fun. Like it's really the Willie's part, and just being like all together. And there's some like pretty like powerful moments. I think, and I think always just dancing with the group of people that I'm with it's just really fun. But yeah, I'm excited for next year too, and just happy to be here.
Wonderful. All right, Larry, let's hear it.
Yeah, kind of just to go off of what everybody has been saying, the year started off really exciting and has continued to be. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint a favorite so far. But, Carmina starting off with that was really like, wow, like I'm really here. And it was just really cool to start off with a piece like that where the core flat dancers are used so prominently throughout the ballet. So, starting off with the very first part of it with Fortuna and just being in the circle with all your peers and having the choir right above you singing and the wheel, it was just a really cool experience that I could never imagine being part of. But I think what has been most exciting for me so far was Rep 2, just because I think that was, for one, when I was the most busy in the year so far, not only doing Seasons Canon, but also being able to be a part of the learning process for the White Rodents Catching Feelings. So to be able to work with two such honestly legendary and intricate choreographers such as Dwight and Crystal was a really good learning experience and kind of like a crash course in what dance can be. Because like everyone was saying, like I learned so much from working with Crystal and Eric and trying different movement qualities that I had never done before, and also learning the technical aspects of Crystal's movement language was really cool and satisfying experience. And also simultaneously working with the White, where it's this kind of really interesting contemporary ballet fusion which is really intricate and really hard to, at least for me, it was really hard to pick up at first, all the small little details of his work. But because it was so challenging, it was just super fulfilling and rewarding every day. So I'd say Rep 2 is definitely the most exciting moment for me. But also Nutcracker was really fun. I danced a lot more than I did last year as a PD, so that was really cool. Got to do cricket along with Spanish and your quintessential mouse flat dancer roles. But I say looking forward into the year, I'm really excited for Midsummer Night's Dream just because I've never seen it on a professional ballet company and it's one of my favorite ballets. And similar to what Destiny said, I'm really excited for Keon's world premiere. Yeah.
Wonderful. Luca.
Oh man, I don't even know like which one to choose or where to start. It's all been all of these pieces have been so different from each other. And I mean, starting with Carmina, I had never heard of it before we did it, and when I kind of saw the video and was learning it, and then finally got on stage and saw the set with the wheel, it was just insane, and I was like, a crazy opener to like be able to start my career in the company with Carmina. And with the costume changes and all like the different kind of roles that we do, it was chaotic but extremely fun. Like we had like so little time to like quick change before we'd have to do Taberna or Fortuna or whatever, and change outfits and put on different garments, and it was really fun. It was like ballet at its core, but it was like a bit of a twist. And then Seasons Canon was like completely different from that and was a whole different type of movement style that I had never learned or was used to ever in my life. Um, Again, I didn't think I would ever be in a crystal pipe piece, but there I was, and it was just being able to be in the room with her and kind of hearing what she was saying, or when she would describe things in detail, to try and help us do the movement. It just made sense. It was very practical, and I was just like I was like sitting wherever I was in the room, just trying to like lean in and trying to take in as much information as possible, like trying to open my ears as wide as I could because I was just like, I want more. I was like, I want to know more about it. Um, and of course, with the lighting and the costumes and the paint on the neck, being able to perform that was just so cool. Um, and the movement itself was very fulfilling. Being able to work together, all of us, kind of as one unit, like a hive mind, was really cool and different. And even before that, before we even learned anything, it was just us in the studio, kind of taking a day or an hour to kind of do a class with Crystal and kind of move around and kind of like counterbalance each other and work together, not as like one, but just as all together, which was really cool and really different from anything I've ever done. Um, and that same rep in Rep 2, I was able to perform Dwight Rhoden's Catching Feelings, which was a whole nother experience and was very like contemporary ballet and extremely difficult. I remember it was very challenging. Like Larry was saying, to kind of pick up the material because it was all happening so fast. But once you kind of figured it out, it would get into your body and it became more natural, and you'd be able to flow into it better and kind of express yourself. And that was another thing with that piece with Catching Feelings. It was about catching feelings and kind of expressing yourself. So when you would dance, there was a type of freedom to be able to move the way you wanted to and express who you were as an individual, which was something I've not really experienced much in other ballets, as most of the time you're a set character or you're doing your positions and you're kind of the same as everyone else. But even if you were in the core, you were able to kind of express yourself and have your own story. That was something that Dwight would talk about, that it's about you, that it's about not about the audience, it's about you and you're telling your story, which was really refreshing to hear, and to be able to perform that and kind of find who I was on stage at that particular moment with my partner was really, really rewarding. And Nutcracker was, oh, it's always really fun. I was able to perform the cricket, which I didn't think I was going to be able to do in my ballet career for another few years. And I was able to do it in my first year, which was extremely surprising, but I was so excited to do it, and being able to do all those jumps and turns and double tours. I can't wait for next year and for what's to come. And I'd say I'm super excited for Midsummer Night's Dream. I just remember I still have it saved on my phone, but the variation for Oberon, I would always look at it, and even during the summer, I remember Jonathan Peretta would teach it to us, and it's always such a fun variation, and I'm very excited to see it live on stage with the costumes and the sets and everything, and being a part of it as well. So yeah.
Well, wonderful. Thank you all for sharing. We're so happy to have you as our newest dancers in our 50th anniversary season. And we're looking forward to seeing all that you do here at PNB over your career. I'm going to let you go now because you all have class coming up soon, and then we're in the theater for Giselle. But thank you again for taking this time this morning to share your stories with our audience members and inspiring young dancers and our audience members alike. So thank you all. We'll see you here in a little while, and we'll see you on stage real soon.